Man, 54, here I come. I don't know, man. I think it might be time to go to 54, yo.
All right, so of course now we have some infamous sparring rumors.
Him and Brian Norman sparred multiple times. It was never competitive. It was never close. It was never any of that.
We're getting it from someone that was there.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
We're getting it from someone who was there. You saw them spar.
Yes, I saw them spar. So even when they talked about the body shot thing, mind you, when the whole debacle of Brian Norman and his dad going on tour talking about, oh, boots, I'm just sitting there being quiet watching until they start crossing lines. Then I'm like, all right, now, I was there. When he put Brian Norman down, if this was a fight, it would have took way more than 10 seconds for him to get up. When he put him down that body shot, it would have taken way more than 10 seconds for him to get up. But let's pretend that the body shot never happened. The spar was never close, and none of them. That fight, mark my words, does not go past 5, and I'm being generous.
The reason why I played this clip, because I wanted you to understand that now, you know, certain people have to go on a media tour to downplay certain things because, like I said, boxing lives on the internet. And obviously they're well aware of that. And you'll notice that since then, JARON has done a few new interviews and stuff like this. The reason why I can call this out, because I've seen it before. You know, this is the same thing that was played at 147. You know what I'm saying? They're using the same tricks and stuff like that. So by now you already know, JARON got offered a lot of money, didn't take the Teofimo Lopez fight. Now there's no reason to doubt what went on with Ortiz in the beginning versus what's going on right now. Now you see why the Conor Ben thing was ignored. You also see why the Blair Cobbs thing was ignored. You know, for a person that claims that nobody is calling him out, when you actually look at it, a lot of people have calling him out, and he has had the opportunity to fight some of these people that he has called out. But now we have to talk about sparring and how it wasn't even close, and you know, he beat Brian Norman Jr. up and all that other stuff. And this is the thing, I don't even doubt that it's true. I don't have to doubt that it's true, you know, because I believe at that time he did best Brian Norman. But like I said before, noticing things is what I do. And when I'm looking at this situation and how it played out, and when he dropped, he was going to 147 versus getting that knockout, you know, they could negotiate either before or after. It really didn't matter. And how they use that as a ploy to try to act like, you know, they didn't want the fight or whatever and whatnot. But if you've been paying attention to Brian Norman Jr., you notice one thing. He has consistently got better. I have no doubts that he's no longer that fighter that may have been in that sparring match with JARON Ennis. And either way, if the spar is true or not true, I think these two matched up would be just a good boxing match in general, period. That's the main reason why I want to see it. I don't care who's really greater than the other. It's just the entertainment factor. But I think when they look at Brian Norman Jr., they look at gaps that's been closed till he gets to the point where he's at right now. If you look at JARON Ennis, when you look at him, JARON has capped already. And you know it because he's still got the problems that he had at 147. He's going to take him up to 154. The reason why I said 154 is not a good idea, because you can't have those holes at 154. He's going to get sparked out. It's waiting. It's waiting. So I believe Brian Norman Jr. is better than what he was then. And they know that. If not, like I said before, the standing on this fight was a waste of time. We could have went ahead and chased a big name, but we was supposedly chasing Undisputed. Now we're not chasing Undisputed because of the weight, even though we said we can keep making that weight as many times as we want it. You know, just back and forth. We'll take the Teofimo Lopez fight in a heartbeat. Then I don't think I can get up for the fight. Blase splee, you know, it's always something. You know, Black Prime, you know, they didn't reach out. Oh, they did reach out, but it really wasn't about nothing. On and on and on and on. At what point can you stop playing yourself for a fool and recognize that it's a consistent pattern here? Oh, this problem. Oh, that problem. No, it's the. Oh, it's the. Oh, it's that. Oh. This problem. This problem. And it keeps going and going and going and going and going. Energizer Bunny with the shit. Keep going. And at 54, it's going to be the same thing. It's already has started. Oh, we can't get the Ortiz fight, so now we're going to go fight for, I don't know, interim title, whatever. Same story. Now we talking about Crawford again. Same story. But y'all okay with that? So it is what it is. But you're hearing these sparring stories now because now we have to save face. Now we're going to have to put up a border because we understand now what it looks like. And if you think about it, if this is the case, they could have been used some information like this. This is not the time now that you're moving on for somebody to come out and talk about some sparring. This could have came out in the beginning. Why is it now at a time when they're not going to fight? It's certain that they're not going to fight. Now we need to hear about sparring because they know moving on looks bad because it contradicts a lot of stuff that they have said. That's why stuff getting taken off the internet and then stuff getting uploaded to the internet like this. Learning how people use media is one of the most eye-opening things I have ever learned in my life. I didn't expect to learn all this just uploading videos, but what it let me in on, how the world works and the perception of people and selling and how to get their attention and what gets their attention and how narratives of the world play out on the internet and people thinking and psychology, man, has changed my life actually. Now I see different, you know, straight like Neo. He can finally see that cold turn to clear picture now. That's exactly what it looked like now. I can see all that stuff and how people use me. It just doesn't get past me. So at the eye of the moment, it may be hard to understand where I'm coming from or what I'm saying. Just know that when I open my mouth, I'm well read, I'm well researched, I done did my legwork. Nothing's by accident. I'm not gonna say nothing loose-lipped. I make sure you can't double back on me and say, you know this, you're wrong about that. You know, if I can help it, I'm pretty sure I may have a flaw here and there, but if I do, it's definitely not many. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. So that's why you're going to hear stuff like this now because, you know, they know what it looked like. To me, I think it's a bad move because you might have missed the opportunity of a great dancing partner. That's all I'm saying. Boxing is about dancing partners, man. It's about dancing partners. And you might have missed that opportunity. Let me give you an example. Jermell Charlo would be less remembered without Tony Harrison. Think of all the people that he had fought, but it's that Tony Harrison fight that stands out. That was a great dancing partner for him. I'm gonna say this to really wrap it up, and then I'm gonna get up out of here. If you remember in the Creed 2 movie, and Buddy Love walked up on Adonis, and he asked him, he said, so how many heavyweight champions do you think they actually remember? No, he's like, it's been 185 heavyweight champions in the history of the sport. How many do you think they remember? 4, 5? He told him the belt ain't enough. You need a narrative, something that sticks to the ribs. That's why having a backstory is important to go with a boxing match. Like, people forget all this nuances about selling this shit. But he told him he needed a narrative. Jermell Charlo without Tony Harrison, less memorable. But it was a narrative there. It was a story. There was a good rivalry there. It was a good back and forth. He might have that in Brian Norman Jr. Because as I see it, I would love stylistic. I would love to see these. I think it'll be interesting as hell. I really do. And that could be a memorable fight. It could be tough for Jaron. It could be sticky. It could be all that. But as long as it's good and dominant, that's how you stand out. When you have stuff like that stands out. Just ask Canelo. He still haven't beat a Mayweather loss out of all the people he has fought. Even though he was the dancer partner that lost, that's the one that made his career at the same time. You see that? And he lost. And it still made his career. Dancer partners are important. That's all I'm saying. Like, comment, subscribe. Bruce Van, I'm out.